Hello everyone, it's Arturo Johnson here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you the difference between a generalist versus an expert. And the number one question that I get from advisors, coaches, and consultants is, how do I establish my brand in the marketplace that is saturated with thousands of people just like me? Have you ever seen the movie Private Ryan starring Tom Hanks? Well, in this movie, Saving Private Ryan, you're kind of thrust into this part of the movie where Tom Hanks and a bunch of Army Rangers are storming this beach in Normandy. And really what they're trying to do is they're trying to establish a beachhead so that they can take over the country. And so these guys have surrounded the perimeters and they're storming with troops, and they're really just trying to establish their beachhead so that they can control this area and move on to other places so that they can take over the country. And the reason why this is important is because in order for Tom Hanks and the troops to take over the country, they first have to get onto the beach, and then they have to establish a beachhead and take over this piece, and then move on to the next piece of that country and take over that place and establish a beachhead there, and so on and so forth. And this is how you divide and conquer. And typically with advisors, coaches, and consultants, typically they take this spray and pray approach where they're marketing and talking to any and everyone, and they're doing a lot of things. They're mixing messages, and they're really being perceived by their ideal clients as someone who doesn't really have a proven system. They're not really an expert in the field that they work with, and they really just get limited results. And so what I help my clients do is establish a beachhead. So picking one medium, picking one market, and becoming an expert at solving that niche's painful problem and most deepest desires. And the reason why this is important is because most advisors, coaches, and consultants, they're generalists. So in the advisor industry, they help 50 to 70-year-olds protect their nest egg in retirement. They serve any and everybody, and they all say the same thing, right? So they'll pull out a cold list, and they'll pick up the phone and they'll say, "Hey Bob, the business owner, this is John from ABC Company, and the reason for my call is I work with Mike, and Mike had some great things to say about you, and I wasn't sure if you needed anything, but I wanted to see if I could be a resource to you now or maybe in the future." And so, everybody that's a generalist is saying that same thing. And guess what? They're getting very limited to no results with that. And so the next person is the specialist, right? And the specialist is someone who has segmented a piece of the market, and they've decided that, maybe they help CPAs or attorneys. So we got generalists who talk to any and everyone, and we have specialists who say, I help CPAs or attorneys huge tax burdens. And then next we have experts. And experts are the go-to people or the go-to person in that particular industry, and people come to them. And then next we have what I like to call a celebrity authority. These are the top 1 to 3 people in any industry, and they make the most money out of anyone. And if I had to think of a couple, it'd probably be Tony Robbins or Gordon Ramsay. And these are the people who are celebrity authorities, and they're the top 1%, and they make the majority of the money in their industry. And so how do you go from being a generalist to an expert? Well, the first thing you must do is you must differentiate yourself. And, how do I do that? And so the first thing you must do is you must pick a niche. Okay? And the reason why that is important is because you need to understand this niche's needs, wants, and desires. And then once you understand that, then you need to figure out how you can solve their problems with ease. And so an expert is, knows his niche's needs, wants, and desires, and is able to solve that problem with ease. And so you may be wondering, how do we do that? And so the first thing we want to do is we want to pick a market, and then we want to learn about their needs, wants, and desires. And then we want to develop the skills to solve that. And so once we do these three things, which is pick a market, figure out what the market's needs, wants, and desires are, and then learn the necessary skills to solve this problem with ease, then that's when we have market authority. And so what can I do to become an expert? Well, that's a great question. So the first thing you can do is do some workshops. You can do some blogs. You can do some virtual seminars. You can write some articles, do some interviews, and do some podcasts. And so this is what makes you an expert. And this is what makes you have market authority. And so with those two, this is how you achieve expert authority in your niche. And so I hope this was helpful. And this is how you go from being a generalist to an expert and having expert authority. Thank you.